Welcome to the Superintendent's Hangout, where we discuss topics in education, charter schools, life in general, and not necessarily in that order. I'm your host, Dr. Sciarretta. Come on in and hang out. In episode number 3 of the Superintendent's Hangout, I sit down for a chat with Coach Brian Nassif, more commonly known simply as Coach Nassif, and we talk about a whole range of topics related to bringing an innovative and entrepreneurial spirit to public education, what drives Brian in his work, the role that his family and his upbringing plays in the success he's had, and where he sees PE in the present with all the challenges in society that we face, as well as into the future. I hope you enjoy this conversation. All right, welcome, Coach Nassif, to the Superintendent's Hangout. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me.
And I thought we could get started just with a little introduction. If you could tell folks who you are and what brought you to Einstein a long, long time ago. And then we'll hop around. We'll probably come back to the present. And you've had a long career already. So who are you?
Yeah, that is a very deep question. We'll start with my name. I answer probably quickly to Coach Nassif. When we're in a grocery store and I'm not paying attention, my wife's calling me Brian. I whip my head around when she yells Coach Nassif. So known as Coach Nassif around here, Brian Nassif. Been living in San Diego for 20 years. Half of that time I've been married to my wife, Felicia. I have 2 boys, one in 1st grade, one in 3rd grade here at AEA, Albert Einstein Academies. Education, I was a gaucho. I studied psychology and philosophy in my undergrad, UCSB, and then credential as an Aztec down here in San Diego, and then Torero, USD for my master's, and most recently a sea lion at Point Loma Nazarene for my adapted PE added authorization. So that's a little of the educational background, a little bit about me and my family. Families first. We can dive more deeper into that later. But yeah, I've been teaching here at AEA for 17 years now. So this is year 17. Makes me feel a little ancient, especially coming off a little back injury. It makes me feel a little more ancient. But I was actually talking to my boys about this the other night, and I was like, 17 years. It's like, let's break this down to days. And it was over 3,000 days. So then I was talking to them about Mr. Padre, Tony Gwynn. I was like, wow, he had about 3,000 hits. It's like, I'm right there. They should start building a statue at Petco Park for Coach Nassif.
And name a beer after you.
Yeah, I'm sure. I wouldn't be quite as high a batting average as Mr. Gwynn, but I don't know if I'm as many days as his hits, but I'm definitely more than Machado. So that's something to hang your hat on. I like thinking about it as days, and 3,000 just seems special to me. It's like, wow, all those opportunities I had to interact with the kids, to work with them, to play with them, to hang with my fantastic colleagues. When you break it down to days and all those opportunities, it just feels grateful for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this session is going to probably quickly morph into the Old Timers edition.
Yeah, we're already talking about Tony Gwynn.
So we're talking Tony Gwynn. We're talking about 17 years and
back in my day. And
I'm sitting here in you can't see listening, but I'm wearing an old man sweater here. So Coach Nassif and I are prepared. Maybe for the sake of listeners who may not know, you could take us back to your first year at Einstein. Because it was a very different environment at the elementary campus, elementary and middle for that first year on a newly occupied campus. And a lot of folks don't go 17 years back. So what are the first things that pop in your mind? I have a lot of memories of those.
A lot of things popped in my mind. First, I just thought of the retreat. We were a small enough organization that we would have these retreats right before we started the school year. and really just built these great friendships. And the colleagues that I came in at the same time were just unbelievably enthusiastic. I'm smiling right now just thinking about all of them. That was the first year of the middle school. So I came in as a K through 8 PE teacher. So I was able to teach the middle school. So I was able to work on the elementary side with the teachers that had been there for only a couple years at that time, a few are still here. And then the very enthusiastic, passionate middle school team. There was one teacher per subject, if I remember correctly.
I think we had 6 teachers.
Yeah.
Year one. Mm-hmm.
Man, so I was just thinking back to, our meetings. It was the entire middle school staff would meet, at one table. And, it was exciting because we were able to set the culture. There was already some folks that were there. I remember Elliot Evans still has an award named after him here. I still haven't received that award, so I'm going to go for that, hoping for the votes for all those listening out there. I wish I could follow in his footsteps, but he kind of led the way because he had been there already and he knew what Einstein was about. So he helped plant that seed within us. And, it'd probably be easy to come in and there were expectations, but I could have just, rolled the ball out and, just played kickball with the kids. I don't think there would have been much judgment coming from anybody. But surrounded by those passionate teachers, that wasn't really an option. And we all energized each other to really do the best we can to set the foundation. So I'm in my head, I'm bouncing around from classroom to classroom. I'm seeing us after school, coaching sports. Like everybody had an after school program. We were coaching sports. We had weekend programs. We met with the kids. We were always having lunch with them. It was just a really tight-knit group coming in, and it was a new campus, so it was fresh. And when I arrived, the only PE equipment we had was a few buckets of like legitimate bowling alley bowling pins, and a few playground balls, and we used those a lot.
Yeah, it's I think back on, if it's easy to take things for granted now when you go onto the Einstein Elementary campus and you see what you and your team has built over the last, 17 years. It's easy to take that all for granted. Mm-hmm. And I think the listeners should know that you come from a very entrepreneurial family, mm-hmm. In Apple Valley, and obviously a very hardworking family. What spurred you to take some of that entrepreneurial spirit and not be content with just rolling some deflated balls out on the court? Because in the first year of a school, especially, all eyes are on math and ELA scores, and in those days it was No Child Left Behind and getting an API score of above 7 and then hopefully above 800. And so what because there's so much to talk about. There's the fitness room, there's all the fusion work, there's running clubs. So what spurred you to do that?
Yeah, as you were asking that, I was thinking of a lot of things. It's funny growing up and actually working in, my parents run High Desert Auto Supply, so Napa stores in the high desert, and I'd work there every Saturday, and if I couldn't make Saturday, I'd work there after school during the week when I didn't have sports, and it was hard work, and seeing how much they worked, and it was like, what, I don't think I want to run my own business. I didn't think that was what I wanted for my future, and I was probably slightly disappointed for my parents. They have 2 sons, like, okay, we're going to carry on this auto parts business. Both of us are down here in San Diego now, but happily, and he's managing a business, and now I'm here at Einstein, and I think regardless of where I would have went, it was just ingrained in me from my parents that, you work hard, you try to surround yourself with the best possible people and influences as you can. I remember talking to my dad when I was younger, and I think we were talking about maybe a politician at the time, and the people who you surround yourself with, you could surround yourself with lesser experienced people to make yourself look good, or you surround yourself with the best people possible. And yeah, you're not the expert, but you can learn so much from them. So I think that was ingrained in me. And luckily I was surrounded with the right people. It keeps coming back to people. I think that's one of the beauty of charters, is that we can, have a little more control over the hires of staff and who aligns with the goals. But yeah, no. So when we show up to school and there's no equipment, so then it's like we just start looking into how we can fundraise and what we can do for our students, and you can be creative. And I really enjoy being creative, and it was, every day was something new. Still to this day, going after grants and fundraising. The shirt I'm wearing right now is from the Rock and Run-a-thon, and I'm just feel like I want to contribute as much as possible and give the students the best experience that I can. And that doesn't have to be the fancy equipment. Yeah, we have some fancy equipment, but some of the most fun things we do are with pool noodles, even those bowling pins. The kids, we're still using them at the end of the year for our field day celebration, and they just love it. So it's about, that creativity and passion, and then offering them experiences that they enjoy. And so there were so many different experiences you can offer. But that, again, took time. So all the things we're talking about, fitness center, you mentioned running club, the sports, that all took time. Yeah.
And one of the many things that I've been impressed by with you, Coach, is your organization and your drive, really. It's almost without fail, if we send out an email, hey, who's interested in blah, 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 like, if Coach Nassif is interested, his email is going to arrive within 5 minutes with a lot of detailed analysis already. Mm-hmm. So, I know that, the Rock and Run-a-thon, the running club, fitness center, all the other pieces don't just happen because there's a passionate person behind them, but they also don't happen if there's no passion. Mm-hmm. But you need passion plus the planning. So how do you, it's interesting, your brother's now running a business and your parents are running a business.
They're still running a
business, and they probably are at the point where they could retire and don't want to. They could
retire.
Right? Yeah, and they don't want to.
I'm encouraging them to retire, but they enjoy the work.
Hey, man, and that's what keeps them going too, right?
Yeah.
So Mom and Dad, when you hear this, thank you for instilling these values in your son. So he's got at least 17 more years to his career at Einstein.
Yeah, it's coming. Halfway through.
But what's your approach to planning and bringing other folks on board? Because you can't do this alone, and you keep alluding to people. Mm-hmm. So how do you, let's choose one thing. Let's say, choose one initiative that you've been instrumental in building, and talk to us about how you marshaled the energy of other people and made them get to a point where they could buy in.
Well, I start with my organizational skills. I was in charge at the stores that I alluded to for the High Desert. There's a lot of auto parts. There's a lot of belts, and I was in charge of putting them on a stick and hanging them up in the back of the store. So you try to organize those by numbers and get them done, and the sooner you're done, there's another tote waiting for more parts. So I think I was just thinking back to then about how I would have to organize, and then I would have to check the stock and check to make sure that everything was in place. So maybe that was the beginnings of the organization. So a lot of initiatives. One of the more recent ones, Recess Buddies, we started last year. So first off, I have a great colleague, Coach Ramsey, and so we started sitting down, and we needed to offer an opportunity for one of our classes because we couldn't mix classes last year coming out of the pandemic. And we have another program, Youth Trainers, where the whole school is on board, and they come out on Wednesdays, and our 5th grade mentors and works with first, second, third, and 4th graders. But that was really set up for 4 5th grade classes, and we would mix in the 5th grade class. So we're thinking, where's the need? So first we think of where's the need and what is the ultimate goal. So where do we want to get to? and we look at there's a need. Kindergarten wasn't involved in youth trainers. They're pretty young, and the structure of youth trainers wouldn't be appropriate for them and how they play. Some of our fifth graders, they actually had kindergarten siblings, and you see when a big tough fifth grader interacts with a kindergartner, it reminds them that they're kids too, and they're very sweet. So there was something beautiful about that. So we reached out to the teachers of fifth grade, the teachers in kindergarten, our safety crew, and asked, what's the need? So we reached out and asked, can we somehow set this up where the fifth graders can support kindergartners? And if they are supporting kindergartners, how do you want them to be supported? What do the kindergartners need? What do the fifth graders need? So reach out to others that have more of a deeper understanding. So then once you get all the feedback, we need to talk about communication and playing gently and understanding the more basic general rules of the games. We don't need to go in depth, but just no hands when you're playing in soccer, or how to play foursquare. Striking is a skill that's pretty advanced for kindergartners, so you teach them how to catch it and bounce it in each square. So we took our fifth graders and we worked with them for a month, just once a week for about an hour, and we taught them all those skills, and they practiced those skills, and then we gave them the choice of which stations they wanted to be at. And there was no assignment for the kindergartners, because that's what the kindergartners teachers said. They said, let's not assign them stations, just see where they go, where they naturally flow, because that's more of a kindergarten style. And taking in all those pieces from, the SPED department, the fifth grade, the kindergarten teachers, Coach Ramsey and I, piecing it all together, and then we rolled it out. And then, you have to have an open mind as well, and, things changed as we went. So from the start, reaching out to the people that are invested and that they have a knowledge that I don't have. Yes, I've been there for 17 years teaching PE, but I'm not the expert in every category. So reaching out and being open-minded and listening, I think that helps. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I think it's a little bit like being the general manager of a sports team almost, or perhaps the coach of a team, right? Which is appropriate with your role. That you can't just tell players what to do. You can try, but then they get out on the field, and every player has different strengths and weaknesses and abilities to handle certain situations better. I know we're getting some.
We got some good tunes going out there.
We got some tunes, and for the listeners, so we have we're recording near an open window for COVID reasons, and so one of the risks when we do that is we've got a. Okay, there we go.
Oh, it's too bad.
It's too bad.
Music is so important. I can tell you, talking about organization even more for all our listeners.
Yeah.
I have been complimented often on my playlists. I try to play music as the kids enter the school when I'm on the blacktop that day. So I'll have my card out already playing music, and then during class there's a different type of vibe. And then there's the Rock and Run-a-thon as well. So there's a set playlist for that. So I've curated some fantastic playlists, which you can find at fusionfitness.net. And you click on them, they're on Spotify already, and they're fun and positive and uplifting. So if you're looking for student-appropriate music, and that can really, really inspire the kids, just aligning the music to the activity that you're doing. So anyways, a little connection there.
Yeah, that's connection. Coach Nassif is referring to this. We've got a neighbor here, and he's got the best tunes when he comes home every day on his Harley, with a very loud speaker, and so that's but he's in his house now, so we're good. So, when I think of all the work you've done, one of the many areas that you've excelled in is relationships with parents. And previous to this recording, we were talking about the parents of a student who graduated from Einstein. He's now in high school. That you're still in contact with these parents, and that they just sent you gifts for your two children. And I think I'm sure there are many examples of that type of support that the PE program at the elementary campus enjoys. And so what's your approach with parents? It's not that typical that the PE teacher garners that much support. Generations really of families know who Coach Nassif is. So what's your approach in working with families?
Yeah, I think I was, again, fortunate to come in on the ground floor. So at that time, you could really get to know, every single family, because we were such a small school. And I was also able to be part of our PTO, or PTA, Friends of AEA, and sat on there as a teacher representative, and was able to, listen to the parents and their needs, and they're able to listen to what we're trying to do, and it's just, the support is unreal. I was just thinking, another parent who had an older son who's now in UCLA, and their youngest child is in elementary school, and he reached out on back to school night, and he said, anything you need. And I know he wanted to gift something to us. So last time we chatted, I was like, hey, look, the kids voted for playing flag football for recess leagues coming up. Next thing you know, I got an email. He'd bought these new flags for the kids, shiny flags, just because they support the program. They know what we're doing. They know that physical education has become, a core part of our school and a foundation of the school, and they see how passionate I am and the other PE teachers are, and they want to support that. And I'll reach out to them, and I think I have a better perspective now as a parent and having my own children at the school, and seeing and just knowing how much I want them to have, it doesn't have to be perfect experiences, but experiences where they can learn and grow. And so I understand that parents want to be involved with that. So, running club was one of the first things we were able to get parents back on board with. In field days, speaking of organization, that's a 1,000-person event in the past. Yeah. So we needed, hundreds of parents to be at each station, and it's just impressive. At a charter school, one thing is the parents have found the school, and this is the school that they've chose, and they want to be part of it, and so when there's opportunities there, like for field day, they step in, and they'll be out there getting sunburned all day, working really hard and collecting tennis balls and whatever it takes. So, and I think they just know that I appreciate it. I always try to follow up with reflections and see what worked and what didn't, and send out the gratitude. I'm better at emails probably now to reach out to all the parents, but I like working the front gate and chatting away. Yeah. And then you kind of get lost in those conversations. So yeah, it's just part of our community.
So shifting gears a little bit.
Yeah.
And you're very humble, but I'm going to ask you to kind of push back past that a little bit so that we can talk about some of your accomplishments. So I know that you're active with the California Physical Education Association. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna blank on the acronym. I think it's CAPERD, right?
Yeah.
And I know you've won an award with them, and you've been very active. So can you kind of tell us your involvement beyond the confines of Einstein, and what motivates you to do that work?
I don't know. It keeps popping back to my parents. I was just thinking about, like, how did I expand out to that level? And another thing my dad would say was, you just work as hard as you can at whatever you're doing at that time, whatever that is, and then the next opportunity will present itself. So the opportunities started presenting themselves a year or two in at Einstein when folks in the county and district noticed, hey, this is a special program that's getting built here. So our county office of ed has really got some great leadership in there when it comes to physical education and health. So they started organizing, vans and reaching out to administrators and teachers to come and visit. And so they'd come visit our school, and we'd chat, and I would learn from them. They'd learn from me. And I think what I was known for was sharing. And any worksheet, any packet, I would try to video most of my activities as well. And if somebody's like, "Oh, can I see that? Can I share?" I was like, "Yeah, no problem." We were a Google Docs school from the beginning, before most schools, so it was really easy to share all those documents. And I know there was like, "Oh, there's an intellectual liability or not property issue here." No, I like the fact that, hey, they're taking this to their school. It's one thing for me to impact our students and at our school. But if you think of this one teacher, this one administrator going back to their school with who knows how many students, and if they actually take that information, that knowledge that I've learned along the way, and they're able to apply it and even make it better, that's really gratifying for me to think about. So to go back to your question, so that grew. So I got some recognition there, and then there was folks part of the Capered organization. And at that time, it was really, really strong. And they recommended that, I go for Teacher of the Year for the state of California. So that was a few years in, 5 years in now. So that's 2012. So was nominated for that award. And then you have to get these recommendations. And at that time, I had some solid connections in the district, in the county, and and some teachers and some parents, and they wrote great letters of rec, and I had to write out those programs we were able to create. At the time, all the sports and the adventure club and the weekend runs, and at that time, almost there was more time spent on those extracurriculars. I think that's what the kids needed and what the school needed to kind of set that culture. But yeah, so that was a big award. Another one. So for Teacher of the Year, so that's something to hang the hat on, and it was also nice because then once you have these recognitions, then you can go out towards other grants and you just say, hey, you don't have to send a whole resume of what's going on. Look, there's been a recognition. Can we please have this money? Because I'm going to do good things with this and build some cool things and some cool equipment. So that was nice. And again, it's not just one person. There's been, for the PE program, all of our PE hires have been very strong, and they didn't need necessarily my mentorship, but I just tried to lead by example. And then when Capered was kind of going through a lull there, at the County Office of Ed, reached out and said, hey, would you like to help with our local branch? So I worked with Capered then, and we were able to do some socials. That's what it really came down to, bringing people together, and met at Dave and Buster's and the Barefoot Bar and over on Paradise Point. And then before you know it, our organization's strong again, and handed it over to other very capable hands. And there's a lot of great PE teachers in San Diego. So yeah, it's a great organization, and they have conferences every year. And I feel lucky that, the support from the school as well. They were able to send me to these different conferences and speak at them a few times as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting to reflect on that comment that you made, the advice that your dad gave about working hard, and just that work begets work, mm-hmm. and work begets opportunity. Mm-hmm. Sitting around and bemoaning the fact that we don't have opportunities to grow and to expand and to advance isn't the way that we grow and expand and advance, right? It's by doing something, doing the best job you can at that, and other doors begin to open. And I really see that in your trajectory at Einstein, remembering back to how it was in the very, very early days. I think right off the bat we had a very strong PE program, but it might not have been sustainable long-term, right? Because there's only one of you, and our staff was so small. And if it hadn't been for kind of your thoughtful leadership, and then the organization growing, and then you expanding out to entities outside of Einstein. Mm-hmm. I've been in a lot of professional settings where people have heard of you because of we're known for a lot of things in San Diego, but physical education and health is definitely up there. I wanted to ask you, because now we're almost 1,500 students, and in 4 or 5 years we're going to be at 2,300 when we add our high school. And so where do you see the elementary school physical education program in relation to what happens at the middle school and what happens down the road at the high school level, right? And this is something that, anyone who's in, you don't have to be in education, but you have an organization and it's growing and it's expanding and you want continuity. These are the things we think about. So what do you reflect on in that whole process?
Yeah, I was just thinking of the start of your comments, and the opportunity was given to me. Back at that time, Principal Vaughn, yourself, Lucy Fowers, and then I felt the responsibility to reciprocate and validate that faith that was giving to PE. It sounds like at this point a lot of people are on our team. This is almost 20 years later, but at that point, PE didn't have that equal footing as it does as other subject areas, and you guys, that was the opportunity. But then, I had to work to, again, validate that. And I think Michelle Obama had a lot to do with that as well. She helped put it on the map with the Let's Move campaign. Yeah. But yeah, as far as elementary into high school, it's funny you say that. Coach Ramsey, he's another elementary PE teacher here. And when we work with the kids for soccer, we're building the foundation, and honestly, we talk about and thinking ahead of them when they're in high school here, and how we have a special opportunity to prepare them for being good sports, first off. And that's something that's beautiful about physical education, is that it's built into our content standards, is how to take care of each other and how to take care of yourself. So that's something we focus on all the way. That's what I want to see all the way through K through 12. But yeah, so we're thinking about setting that foundation. And when I hear about our middle school sports leagues and their success, there's a little point of pride there, thinking, hey, maybe we didn't teach them those specific sports. We don't play those sports in class, but we've taught the skills that they need, not only the sport, but the social and the personal and the group dynamics that they need to move forward and be successful. And it's hard to set in stone anything. Every year is a different year in PE. Yeah, there's certain things that are in place that are part of the core of what PE is, but what they look like molds and changes based on the students. Like youth trainers started as cooperative PE back in the day. It was like, hey, we have a middle school PE class and we want to work with elementary students, and there was just poly spots on the ground with the exercise. They worked in a circle. Then it became more of a tech class because the middle school had technology classes. So the kids were designing the games that they would teach the students, and then they would fitness test and base the games based on their scores. So youth trainers is there, but then the middle school left. So now it's a 5th grade program. So we modified there. And then after the pandemic, there's a real need for social emotional teaching and learning and experiences. So we sat down as a team and you restructure what these stations are, and you pull back from the fitness a little bit and focus more on the friendships. So it becomes fitness and friendship station. So these things, whatever the program is, it has to be able to mold to fit the students and our student body. Our students will change, have changed, will continue to change. And so we have to be able to change. And again, that's something that's beautiful about a charter school too. I can reach out to Principal Bowders and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Can we can change this up a little bit? And how about this? And what about this space? And what if we change this to this and this time? And she has that critical eye on it, and then can give the thumbs up, and we can move forward. I was lucky enough in this APE program to visit some other high schools. And again, San Diego region, we have some awesome adapted PE teachers, fantastic physical education leaders. So it's valued in our community. I know that's not the same everywhere. I think it will be at some point. But I saw some beautiful things with unified PE. So students that had disabilities, full inclusion. We've always had a full inclusion model here as well. So I hope that will continue regardless of what our student population, what the needs are. So it's hard to say exactly what the high school will look like, but there's some core things in place of like, hey, this needs to be meaningful to the students. It needs to be fun. It needs to be a challenge for them. They need to learn how to take care of each other and to take care of others. There needs to be leadership opportunities. And you could hear from Braden in your previous podcast. You know, he mentioned that he got a B in middle school PE, but it was still his favorite subject. It's because there's some joy involved. So everything that you create, you know, K through 12, make sure it's meaningful, make sure it's joyful for the students.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned a couple interesting things, Michelle Obama and the Let's Move campaign, and then COVID and the mental health challenges that have come with that in terms of combating isolation, folks being cut off from their social networks. And then, you know, you've been on this journey long enough to have seen changes in public health in terms of obesity. When you first started, kids didn't have, the smartphone didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
It was we were starting to we had flip phones, and most kids didn't have them. Now everyone has a screen.
Yeah.
Starting in kindergarten, first grade, everyone's got a screen. And so how do you adapt, and how do you conceive of PE and then adapt over time when we have a society that is increasingly sedentary, battles obesity, and you're competing with dopamine hits that kids get from screens?
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep PE relevant?
Yeah, I was just thinking, you know, your initial reaction, and this was the reaction I think in the early 2000s, was fitness. You know, we got to get these kids fit, but they didn't want that. So, like, as I was mentioning about the experiences that we want to offer the students, so we've never run the mile, and running the mile is still a big deal at a lot of schools, even in our region, but it's not something that's fun for most children. I mean, some want to, and we provide those experiences for them that want to. So, you know, running club, and we had the middle school track team, and those kids that latched onto those optional, you know, opportunities. It's been a launch pad for them to be successful in running sports in high school. So I think what I'm getting to is that, you know, we can't just focus on, it's got to be more preventative, and in order to prevent that, they need to enjoy what they're doing, and we can learn from video games. There's something built. The reason that they're addicting is because there's levels, and there's points.
That's right.
So we can gamify, and this has been something that, you know, I talk about with our other PE teachers. How can we build it's gamification? So it's exactly what it sounds like. So it's like them taking themselves on their journey and self-discovery and a just right challenge level for them. And then after they reach that challenge, how many more points can you get this time? Okay, now try this. If you're ready for this, let's go to this level. Or you're really great at this is storytelling. You know, when you send out your videos, you know, I lock into the story. Humans, we love stories. So especially at the elementary level, we start breaking it down into these themes. You know, we have our Harry Potter catch quest where Dumbledore will tell you, "Are you ready? Reach, grab, and give." So I go into my Dumbledore voice, and you know, they're engulfed in this world of Harry Potter or whatever it may be. So you build in those, you learn from the videos and the screens. And why are they enjoying it? And you build in the points, the levels, the gamification, the multiple entry points. So it's like, you know, you can be a beginner and you could still play this activity, and that's what's going to combat obesity and illness, whatever it can be later. Is, hey, if they actually like it, then they're going to continue to do it. At the same time, during the pandemic, gave me an opportunity to start working on my video skills. So that's kind of a flipped learning experience. So we learned this out of professional development. You know, the kids, they need these quick breaks. So a lot of the times I'll show a quick video of myself teaching the content, and the kids will dial in to it and pay better attention then than if I was. So I was like, pay attention to digital, Nassif. And that gives me an opportunity to go walk around and work with the students for those couple minutes. And then the video's done, then I could work with all of them. And then when I start to lose them, boom, I put on the next quick clip of us doing the exercise. Me doing the exercise on a video is more engaging to them than me doing it in front of them. But that also gives me an opportunity. It's like a second teacher that I can come through and start working individually with the students for the students that need it. So there's a lot to learn from screens.
It's interesting. It's the Apple phenomena, right? It's the close your rings on your Apple Watch it's. I was talking to someone the other day. We're setting SMART goals for our admin team, and the goal that they proposed was a great one, but it wasn't. It was too general, too broad, and I said it's a little bit like you saying your goal for the new year is to get in shape. Mm-hmm. Everyone's goal for the new year is to get in shape, and gyms know that, so they oversell in January, and then 80% of those people are never going back after February, and they don't cancel their membership. They just let it go on a monthly auto withdrawal because they don't want to feel like they're quitting on their fitness, but they're quitting on their fitness because it's not gamified in a certain sense, right?
They don't have the roadmap. They don't have
the roadmap, and it's not. They're not getting measurable feedback along the way in terms of the progress, and that's something that I think back to when Running Club first started. You'll remember this. Remember we had popsicle sticks?
Oh yeah.
And the hardest part of Running Club was the collection, the distribution and collection of popsicle sticks, and the credit of number of laps for the individual kids, right? Yep. And then at a certain point, you transitioned to an electronic system. And probably a lot of schools have that now, but you want to just briefly describe what that looks like, because it's actually the nerd in me loves it.
Yeah, and the nerd in you sought out the Student Lap Tracker, which is the company that we use. And now you're right, there's other companies that offer that program as well. But it was a barcode, so it was just like what you'd be doing going through a grocery store. So there's a scanner just like a scanner at the grocery store. So each kid would have a card, and at the time we did it for the upper grades because we were concerned the younger grades would lose the cards, and it was a little too complicated. But I think we were underestimating them, because at this point now, another big organizational challenge was to get every student a card, get them a clip so it's clipped onto their backpack. And now TK through 5th, they all have their own card. And, as technology progresses, we moved on from the barcode to the QR code. Right. And we've always kind of been the pilot school. So we piloted the program last year. We were trying to use less plastic so we can reuse it and put stickers on instead. Stickers would scratch. We went back to the larger card with the big QR code printed on it. And boom, when the kids arrive to school, they unclip it off their backpack. They run, get the scans. Parents are out there. It's totally parent-run scanning. We're just out there kind of supporting the students. And then every Friday, another leadership opportunity. We have PE ambassadors, and they'll help us print out all the reports, and the reports are sent to the teachers, put in their mailboxes, and then we print out the top 10, so all the kids come running over to see where there's places. Not all the kids who value that, the kids who care about Running Club, and that's not everybody, but it's definitely my own child.
Yeah. Like father, like son.
I did enjoy running. I couldn't keep up with you, though. When we ran that half marathon, I remember La Jolla half. It's probably my fastest one, I think. Yeah. I think Dr. Sciarretta was about an hour and a half there.
That ship has sailed on my.
Yeah, mine too.
So this is the part of the podcast where this is the silver edition.
I remember when our API score went up 40 points and you ran 40 miles, and that's a true story. Actually,
it is. But it's even if it goes up by 40 again, I'm not doing that. So I might run 4. Slowly.
Well, the program's cool because then the Running Club program, Student Lap Tracker. So the parents that do care, the kids who do care, they can log in to see their own student dashboard anytime at home on any device. Even in distance learning, I talked with the owner of the company. We came up with an at-home app so they can log the activity that they did, and I was able to email digital, tokens is what they get.
And what are we looking at? I just saw an email from you I want to say a week ago, and it mentioned a total number of miles run or something.
No, it's insane.
It's like
just for my own children, they're at 60 miles. My first and third grader. I mean, and we started a little later because we were getting everything organized and we wanted it to roll out smoothly. Sometimes that takes some time, but I mean, 30,000 laps, something around there.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah. To give folks a visual, if you haven't seen it or you're thinking about instituting this at your campus, when it's in full force, there's just a flock of students running laps, and and they get ready to do it in the morning. They don't need any prompting. For the students who, I think one of the benefits, it's got to be get those endorphins going early in the morning, and it probably helps with the day, right? That habit of exercising in the morning and
primes them
out
for learning.
Yeah.
Primes their brains for learning. And the kids that need it, they figure out that they need it.
Yeah.
I need it.
Yeah.
That's why I've been doing this for so long. I need an outlet for my energy, and so does my son.
Yeah.
Both sons.
Yeah.
One more than the other. So he runs like wild in the morning, and then he's able to focus the rest of the day. And I think that works for a lot of the kids. They figure out that's what they need.
Yeah, I think that's, the learning how our body and mind is connected, and carrying those lessons throughout life, right?
Yeah.
So that we can, some of us just feel better the whole day when we work out early. Others perhaps not so much, but as you say, the kids who need it find it, and that's a powerful thing. You've talked about a lot of successes, and if we could go on and on about everything that you've achieved and that PE at our elementary campus and then extending to middle has accomplished, and there's still a lot to come. What has been your greatest obstacle or challenge professionally over the last 17 years, and how did you address it?
Ooh, it's a tough one. One of the beautiful things of a charter school is that the kids need voice and choice, and that's something I've been hammering into all of our lessons when we were creating that. It's like, okay, is there any choice in here for the kids? Like, are they just doing what I'm saying? Is there any opportunity for leadership, or are they just doing, am I telling them what to do? So that's been a slow growth of me trying, and the rest of our PE team, add more student voice. So in a charter school, teachers and adults need that as well. We need to, it's human nature, we need to feel heard, valued. We need to be able to, there's some aspect of control, even though, we really don't have that much control, but you want to at least think and feel that you have some control over your environment and what you're directing. And I think that can also be a burden, there's so much I've built with the help of, obviously the whole community and the staff, and everybody's on board, and none of this works without them. But then there's this responsibility that you feel. So it's not, I can't sit back and watch a Padre game, at home without thinking I should be attaching hooks to running club cards right now. And then also I'll grab the box of running club cards. So the challenge has really been for myself enjoying the moments and not constantly thinking, what do we got to do tomorrow? What do we got to plan? What do we got to do for the next day? How are we going to get this set up? How do we get this organized? Oh, who are we forgetting? Oh, what is the time change, or what, what's going to be happening in the NPR at that time? Always thinking ahead and just trying to enjoy this moment and this journey, because I do have the opportunity to create these programs and I love it. And it's like this constant challenge, a just right challenge for me, but there's times where it becomes almost too much, and to balance that with family life and to still enjoy the day-to-day, and to walk into campus and be like, okay, happy about it, instead of like, okay, we got to get this set up, we got to get that set up, So it's not putting too much on myself and other teachers. So
that's probably a challenge of type A organized people everywhere, right? Is to be able to live in the moment from time to time and trust that processes will continue and other people will do what we've supported them in doing. I remember I had this experience a number of years ago now, probably 10 years ago or so. I was getting ready in the morning and I walked out to my car and had a shirt and tie on and I had my laptop and I was probably running late and I opened the door and put it in the back and I was just not even focusing on the present moment. I'm already thinking about the email that I had answered in the morning, what's waiting for me in my office, all this stuff. And this older gentleman is walking his dog and he goes, "Hey, good morning." I go, "Hey." I kind of just said, "Morning." And he said, "Remember, these are the good old days." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like just about to get in my car. This creepy guy is wanting to talk to me. He goes, no, I'm serious. These are the good old days. And I wish I had a place to be right now where I needed to get dressed up and go and work with other people. And so that's something that stayed with me, right, is that when we're so focused on the next thing that's happening down the road and we don't take time to take a deep breath and go, wow, this is, I get to be with these people. I get to enjoy this moment right now, or I get to enjoy my family.
What do we got now?
What do we got now? What's the
tractor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so for
Good
the
work.
listeners, we're in a construction zone, and it never fails. When I was a previous episode, they started jackhammering the street.
I didn't hear that.
So I had to move it and re-record. But I think we're good now. So between Harley's rocking the tunes and tractors, we got and sirens, we've basically got the whole complement.
Hey, we're under a flight path. I'm used to talking and speaking,
That's right.
and we're in a construction zone right now at the elementary. But again, you don't want to just like as you were saying, just think about we're gonna have this larger NPR and it's gonna be so great. And there's kids at the school right now that need to enjoy their moment right now. They're not going to see the NPR, my kids included. So it's just, for a long time I was like, PE is about setting them up for a lifetime of health and fitness in the future. And then it was like, you know what? And they need to enjoy this right now as well. Yeah. And that will eventually set that up. So
it's I think as we get older, we
that's part of it.
Put more. We can slow down enough to just go, okay, this moment right now is the only thing that matters. It's not perfect. There's bulldozers, but we need to make it as perfect as we can for our kids. So thanks for sharing that challenge, because that's really, like all effective leaders, that's a challenge within you. That's not a challenge of, my challenge is staff doesn't listen to me, or my challenge is I tried to do this and admin said there's not enough money, or whatever. It was really a challenge of you interacting with the world and how your reactions are going to be, and how that's going to impact your own physical and mental health, the well-being of your family, etc.
Yeah.
We are just about coming up on getting pretty close to an hour, and
wow.
And time flies when you're having fun. I really do appreciate your time, Coach. We could go on and on with many podcasts.
Episode 1. This is episode 1, Coach Nassif.
Episode 1 with
2024.
Nassif. That's right.
It's going to be a good episode.
Yeah. And so it's interesting. I was thinking, mentally preparing for today, you and I, because we've known each other a long time, we've had these funny experiences, and there was a time we went to an IB training in Pittsburgh, and two California kids, well, I'm a transplant, but I'd been here long enough, and we end up in Pittsburgh in February or something, and we both decided to get up and go running in the morning, and it must have been single digits, and so we were running with, I think, shorts and socks on our hands and all kinds of stuff.
Our arms tucked into our shirt, so
shirts.
Hopefully we wouldn't fall and slip on the ice because we didn't have arms to brace ourselves.
So, we there's a lot of memories.
I remember the man that was, I believe he was tossing fish, and he just looked at us appropriately because how ridiculous we looked and were. So
that's one of the many, many wonderful memories from Einstein. Where does Brian Nassif see himself in 17 years?
Superintendent of Albert Einstein Academy.
Go.
I'm just kidding.
There we go.
No, I like being. I think this is actually an expression I heard from you, where the rubber meets the road, like right with the kids. So it's really hard for me when this, like during distance learning, when I was just like videos and typing, because what fuels me is when I'm around them. So I want to continue working with our students, and the adapted PE added authorization that I was able to, just finishing up this week, actually the last 8 months, learned a lot through that, and I really, really enjoyed that. I can see myself continuing working with students on that level, but I'm committed and loyal and enjoyed. I remember I was considering at one point leaving Einstein because I live in the Poway school district, and there was an opportunity up there. And I was actually doing a family fitness run with some Einstein families, and I was talking to them about it, to parents. Yeah. And a dad said, you know what, you're in the Einstein community. Where can you make the most impact? And it was just kind of stuck with me. I was like, you know what, I'm sticking here. There's going to be challenges. We got construction going on. Never fails. There's something new. But it's like a second home, and it's where I can make the biggest impact, where I have the most opportunity to make an impact, and where I enjoy it. So
yeah, and
I don't know. I'm trying to live in the now. I can't think of 17 years.
It's true. And I guarantee the construction will be done by 17 years from now.
Yes,
it should be closer to 17 months.
I'll be able to roll by in my wheelchair and look
right.
at it and admire it.
That's right. That's good. Well, where can folks find out more about your work? I know you referenced. Can you give us the website again?
Fusionfitness.net. So on there I have tabs for like running club and recess leagues and youth trainers and brain games and some, the PE program overview if you want to see all the many different elements there. Surprisingly, the hashtag PhysEd Twitter world is a really awesome place. It's not just all Elon Musk news and MLB trade rumors on Twitter, but there's some phys ed PE teachers on there that are fantastic. So I'm at fusion_phys ed. So I try to share quick clips of the activities that we do, and I actually use those for the following year, because you think you remember everything that you did, and it's just so many things have happened since that point. There's a tractor again. And so I go back to those videos like, oh yeah, that's how I did it. Oh, here's how I should do it this year, so I can build on what I've done in the past, so nothing stays the same. But yeah,
thank you for that. We'll link that in the show notes too. We'll get those links in there for listeners so they can keep track of you and your great work. I really want to thank you, Brian, for spending an hour with me in the hangout, and we've got to do this again. So This is version 1.0 of many more to come.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Be well, and
I appreciate it.
If we don't talk before, have a great holiday break, and I hope you continue to recover from your surgery.
Oh, thank you. I'm on my way.
Thank you for joining us for the Superintendent's Hangout. Check out the show notes for any links that we discussed in today's episode. You can also follow on Twitter at DVS1970. Thanks again for hanging out.